Hey bookworms!
I'm Book Mouse.
And I'm BookKitty, and this is
Our BookNook.
This week we're taking another look at, or should I say I'm revisiting, a book that I forgot how much I loved. And I don't believe you've ever read it before.
No, this was my first
timer, Old Love that I forgot about. We're taking a look at the first book in the House of Nyx series by PC and Kristin Cast called Marked. This is what the cover looks like. It is young adult, paranormal, drama, vampires. Yeah, it's a different take on vampires, but I won't get too far into that just yet. But yes, Marked, House of Nyx, number 1. What can I say about this book? One, I realized while I was reading this, I didn't remember, but apparently this book was one of my inspirations for my book that I'm working on, which is pretty cool. Makes me want to revisit the whole series. But basically the premise is you've got Zoey, who's I believe 15-year-old in public school, and she's in the first chapter, she's dealing with her normal ass teenage life.
Yeah.
And then things change, as a hero's journey they should. She becomes marked. Vampires in this series are not your typical vampires. No, I say that a lot, but it's true. Basically, anybody can change. There's a what did they call it? A random extraneous DNA strand or something.
It's a DNA marker that determines whether or not you can have a chance. To become.
Yeah. So apparently there's trackers that mark, they feel that somebody is awakening, and then they go to that person, they track that person, and then mark them with this crescent moon outline on their forehead. Essentially, it's like
a tattoo?
Kind of, except it's not done like a tattoo. It's more of like a point, and you have it, and you have some pain.
Yeah.
Boom, it's there. Zoe's from an ultra religious family, so things don't go well when she goes home and she has this crescent, which everybody knows vampires are real in this world. This is not like, oh my god, what is that? It's, oh my god, what happened to you? What did you do to cause this? She kind of avoids going. Apparently you have to go to the House of Night once you've been marked, because you get sicker and sicker the longer you're away from vampire kind. So she kind of puts off her time, and she goes home first and tries to hope her mom will be on her side, but her mom married a pastor, and well, we know that trope. People of faith.
Yeah, but
it is a trope. It is a trope that we see. You know, the person who is special goes home, and the mother has changed since she married this religious leader, and like it's a pretty common trope.
The non-acceptance.
But it's also a trope that's only a little bit. It's limitedly shown.
Yes, they don't harp on it.
Yeah, they don't stick on it too much. But something happens, and I don't want to give too much away, but she ends up super special. Her mark is filled in long before it should be, and nobody can figure out why, except she kind of knows why, but doesn't know who to trust. And then she goes to the House of Night, and you start to watch her reacclimate to a new school environment, reacclimate to a new life, and, you know, meet new people and new friends and new enemies and new professors and new concepts, new ideals. And all the while, she's got a new school, a new life, and new biology.
Yes. New
needs for her body. And it's, as you said, it is a little reminiscent of
Hex Hall.
It's a little reminiscent of Hex Hall, which we reviewed a little while ago, and I'll put that at the end if you want to check it out.
Not scene for scene, and just themes.
Yeah.
Certain themes you can kind of see.
Special girl, new school, new life, new people, new experiences. But as I pointed out, it is a part of the hero's journey. And maybe it's how it's presented for you. Maybe it's just in how it's presented. But I do know that, like, I think really it's just kind of a way to set the same thing I said for Hex Hall, the first book.
It's a way to set the scene,
set the story. The first book sets the scene for the rest of the book. So I really think there is a purpose to that. I'm not saying that means it's bad or good.
No.
But yeah. So basically that's what the book is. She's getting used to this new school, and of course there's a challenge she has to overcome, which is the climax of the story. And in this book, it is quite small of a climax. I will admit that. It's not a whole lot of, like, action. It's not like a big fight. It's like this one seemingly small thing that she has to accomplish. But I happen to know, because I've read the series before, this one small thing leads to so many other big things. Okay. Really big, world-changing events and climaxes in the other books. I think this book does a really good job with developing the characters for a series. You know, you've learned a little bit about some of the people that are going to be integral in the rest of the series, but there's still room to learn more about these characters, learn more of their backstory. But you know that Stevie Ray is this Oklahoma accent-heavy cowgirl who's obsessed with country and country stars. You know, you've got the popular girl who has her own insecurities, which is leading her to act the way that she's acting. So you have room for, is she going to grow to be more productive and less destructive? Is she going to just continue to devolve toward destruction? Is there a reason why she's doing what she's doing? Is somebody making her do what she's doing? You know, there's a lot of room for that. Discovery. You've got a lot of Zoey you still have to learn, because there's still a lot about Zoey has to learn. You know, and then there's Eric. I mean, you don't really know much about Eric and his backstory. You just know that he's an actor who's really popular and has been invited to London and Hollywood. And it's like, okay, what's the story there? You've been in school for 4 years.
He's young still.
Because he's, what, a fifth former?
Yes.
Sixth former.
Fifth former.
So he's been there for 3 years.
3 years.
So he's got some more experiences in that school than Zoey has. So you've got a character to kind of compare new student versus junior student.
Right.
And I just think that they did a good job with developing the characters so far, but leaving room to develop them further.
Right. And not giving us everything in one book, and then where do you go from there?
Which honestly is where I struggle. Like, I'm trying to give away too much in my first book, and that's where my editing is coming in.
That was a good thing they did. They don't give away too much so that because sometimes you, not to be crude, you blow your wad right up the front, and then you're like, well, where do I go from this?
And honestly, I think the fact that it was a mother-daughter team worked really well in their favor. Because I have to say, out of all the young adult books that I've read that star teenagers, this one is one of the ones that sounded the most like teenagers to me in their dialogue and in their thought processes. They've kind of got some adult concepts in their head going on, this isn't how this should be, you know. But they also have that teenage tint to it.
Yes. And
where you don't quite understand those things.
Yes. And speaking of adult concepts, just a warning that we want to put out there. So a lot of young adult books gloss over some things or
But let's face it, teenagers talk about sex.
So yeah, there is a couple scenes where sex rears its ugly head, and maybe not the way Zoey wanted to find
Which
out.
is why you said ugly head, because sex is not always ugly in writing.
But
it's...
Zoey got caught in a situation, not hers, but she...
Very uncomfortable.
Very uncomfortable for her. And
words like blowjob are thrown out in the text.
Yes. But you know what? Real life, teens deal with this. They have this thrown in their face in real life. So that the authors are willing to broach it, I thought was a good thing.
Yeah, makes it a little bit more immersive.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. I for a moment there, I did kind of feel like I was in high school again, just because I was really getting into the main character, and you know, you try to relate to somebody in a book, right?
You do. You usually
generally
find
the main
one.
character, but not always. And so, like, I did kind of feel a little high schoolish there for a minute.
So,
but all in all, I personally would give it 4 paws up, but I only have 2 paws.
and after an honest discussion about it, I am willing to give it 2 paws as well.
So 4 paws from Our BookNook. Yeah, I really want to reread this series again. So I might do a video that's on the whole series.
Something to come up with. Okay.
Maybe. Thanks for joining us for Marked by PC and Kristin Cast.
Join us next week. We are going to talk about tropes. The ones we love and the ones we frickin' hate.
And the ones we would like to see at all or more often.
True. And how we perceive those tropes.
Yeah.
It's a tropopia.
Tropopia! That's a great video name! I love it! Tropopia 2020.
Join us. Be there.
Be there or be square. Be there or be tropey. Don't forget to type the description below where we will list where you can find the House of Night series, both in new and used book formats, as well as where you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Goodreads, and Patreon.
And as always with Patreon, you become a patron of Our BookNook starting at just $3.
Join us for all sorts of fun shit, like early access to our weekly videos,
behind-the-scenes footage, shout-outs, and bloopers.
If you become a patron at any tier, you gain exclusive access to our live chat community where we can just chit-chat with you. You can ask us all sorts of questions or tell us what kind of videos you want to see us do or what books you want to see us read, or we can just shoot the shit about anything, really.
Anything, really. As always, don't forget to hit that big red button and ring the bell so you can always know when we post new content.
We post weekly videos Mondays at 2 p.m. Central and sometimes on Tuesdays and Saturdays if we've got just something extra to throw out there.
That's all we've got for today. This has been Book Mouse.
And I'm BookKitty, and we are now signing off.